the wrong thing to do. I'm so afraid of disappointing you. So I need to talk to you and ask you for your guidance, especially today when my life is so cloudy. Guide me until I'm sure I open my heart. Oh yeah.
And you are listening to First Things First right here on KBLA Talk 1580. My name is Melina Abdullah, and we are moving our conversation forward. We remember that as we talk about economic tools in the fight for justice, this is justice in the names of real people, real human beings, real black people, real black fathers. If you've been paying attention, you know that Long Beach police stole the life of black single father of 6, Brandon Boyd, a week ago today. Brandon Boyd was in the midst of a mental health episode when he called 911 himself. He had gone to the church that he attended as a young person, Iglesia de Cristo, and he went to the steps of that church. He called 911 for help. He also called his family because he was having a moment, which we all have, which this world will heap upon us. And he called 911, which is what we've been trained to do. And instead of giving Brandon help, they stole this black father of 6's life in front of his family. His sisters were there, his niece was there, community was there. And so today there's going to be a press conference and demands back at that spot at Iglesia de Cristo in Long Beach. And we have to talk with us about Brandon Boyd, his sister Tierra Boyd, along with Black Lives Matter Los Angeles organizer Lamika Castillo. Sister Tierra, I know this is your first time speaking about what happened to your brother and what happened to you also publicly, and we're so grateful that you agreed to be with us this morning. We played some Yolanda Adams in honor of your brother. We know that that was his favorite song, or one of his favorite songs. You said he was a music connoisseur, so he loved music, but especially loved Yolanda Adams, and we're prayerful that he hears that and is soothed, his spirit is soothed by Open My Heart by Yolanda Adams. Sister Tierra, thank you again so much for joining us. Can you just begin by telling us a little bit about your brother, Brandon?
Yes, if I may, I'd like to begin by saying thank you for that beautiful tribute. But Yolanda Adams, it explains so much about that day, about his heart, about his spirit, and where his mind was, and that was his go-to song, and that is exactly how my brother ended up at the church. So ironically enough, the song and the circumstances themselves speak volumes to his character and who he was. My brother was a father before anything. Before anything, my brother was a father. He was a single father. He was devoted to his children. He has had his children their entire lives since they were 2 months old. He was a father. He was a brother. He was a brother. We are a clan. We are a clique. There are 7 of us, and he is number 4. And he wore number 4 proudly, although he thought he was number 1 at times. And he would always stand right aside number 1 to let him know just in case. He was the baby brother of initially till the other 2 guys came. And Brandon was a clown. Anybody who knew Brandon would be laughing right now. Brandon would be cracking jokes about this. I've been trying to find the joke that Brandon would say. My heart is not settled enough as of yet. I know in the future I will find his laugh and his wit somewhere in all of this. Because he just had a way of making everything funny. And I would get so mad at him, like, bro, this is not the time for a joke. But you know, do. Like, that was just Brandon. He couldn't stay in negativity very long. And when he did, he would isolate himself because he never wanted anyone else to get infected with whatever emotions he was feeling. Brandon was never the type to go and like make he put himself in solitude, you know, when he would become he's a young black man in society. He's a young, handsome black man in society who's smart, who's intelligent, who knows better than some of the things he saw in front of him, who knew the way when people wouldn't give us a way, who tried to make a way when people closed every door in our face. So we've overcome a lot of trials and tribulations in life, and Brandon was extremely resilient, and he was dedicated to giving his children a better life. Brandon, one thing that hasn't been said, and I think this is the first time that I'm going to say it, Brandon grew up without his father. We lost my daddy when Brandon was 6 years old. I think this is the first time that I'm saying this, and it's actually penetrating me. So work with me, y'all. Yeah, come to think of it, Brandon, we lost our dad when Brandon was little. So Brandon's life was dedicated to being a father that he never got. Brandon's life was dedicated to making sure that his children knew that they were loved, that they knew their place in life, in his life, and in society in general. Brandon was the glue, and Brandon was the party. And Brandon was fly. He would get on me if I didn't tell you guys how fly Brandon was. He would get me. He took dressing himself and manicuring, not, just prepping himself. He took all of his hygiene. Everything was just like Brandon was very particular about his appearance. And, where he would go. He loved colors. God, he loved colors. That boy would wear pink, lavender, red, orange, green, lime green. Brandon just was a beautiful, very unique soul. And I think everyone who had the chance to encounter Brandon in some form or fashion would all agree that Brandon was very unique. Like I said, he could make the old lady smile or the baby smile, like everyone from 0 to 100 and everyone in between. Brandon was just that guy. So they have no idea what they did to our family. And unfortunately, they have left us with so much homework that we as a family haven't even, I don't think, got to process some of the things that I'm telling you now. So thank you again for giving me this opportunity to remind my family and the world how precious Brandon was and is. Not was. My brother always will be. And his spirit will continue to live. He was so magnificent in life, and his light was so bright. And there were times that he couldn't even see it. Obviously, the time he went to the church. But I am honored. I am humbled. I am grateful from the depths of our soul for the support of this village and you all who have had our backs during this time. So on behalf of Brandon and all of us, I thank you for helping us to let his voice be heard, let his spirit be known, and letting the world know the truth about what happened, and to not criminalize my brother, but to understand my brother was a victim.
That's right.
From the first time he called them, he was a victim. He was never a criminal. He was a victim that day. But from the first time they encountered my brother, they treated him as a criminal until the end when we were all criminalized, the entire family. November 19th will be a day that no one will ever in life forget. And I assure you those officers probably won't either.
That's right.
I assure you they won't either.
That's right. We're speaking with Tierra Boyd, the sister of Brandon Boyd, as she talks about her brother. He's a black single father of 6 children. a example of what black manhood actually is, right? They try to tell us who black men are and criticize our black men for not being fathers. And here you have this black single father who, as Sister Tierra offered, raised his children from the time they were 2 months old. Hands on, you shared with me on another call as we were talking, Sister Tierra, still walked his children to school every day, right? Had just walked his children to school, and his life was stolen. So we're talking about Brandon Boyd. When we come forward, we'll talk about the circumstances that stole his life. We have Sister Tierra Boyd on, who's also joined by Sister Lamika Castillo, an organizer with Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. That's coming forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power. Are you an entrepreneur looking to take your business to new heights? KBLA Talk 1580 is your partner in success. Every day, we celebrate and elevate Black-owned businesses across our community. Our KBLA SMB Marketplace currently features The Cookie Dip, Badass Bakes, Hair Concoction, Higher Education Accreditation Consulting, LACC Radiology Technology Department, and Malik Books. Your business deserves to be heard. Let KBLA Talk 1580 amplify your voice and connect you with our powerful community of listeners. Email smb@kbla1580.com today. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
We're thrilled to announce that the Dear Future Wifey podcast is now available on the Urban One Podcast Network. This show, hosted by Lateris R. Whitfield, explores the journey of discovering and rediscovering love and relationships. With over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, Dear Future Wifey has become a prototype for discussions about love and relationships. Learn how to rediscover love, heal, and have faith in relationships. Go to urbanonepodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin ultra strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans with way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
You could say it was a good day, at least a little better than the day in Baltimore. Does anybody hear us pray for Michael Brown or Freddie Gray? Peace is more than the absence of war.
And we are talking with the sister of Brandon Boyd. Sister Tierra Boyd is joining us along with Lamika Castillo, and we could add Brandon Boyd's name to that list that's offered in this Prince song, Baltimore, right? His life was stolen. His life was stolen. This black single father of 6. His life was stolen a week ago today by Long Beach police as he stood on the steps of the church that he grew up in and asked for help. Sister Tierra Boyd, as much as you're comfortable, can you share with us what happened a week ago today on November 19th to your brother?
Well, November 19th started as any normal day for my brother. We didn't come from a perfect neighborhood, so I think this is important for people to know. We come from where we come from, you know. We come from, quote unquote, the other side of the tracks. We don't have a perfect scenario, but my brother did everything he could to give those babies in his household as much perfection as possible. And I wanted to say that because Brandon ended up having an issue with his car. However, that didn't stop him from being a father. No matter how dangerous the streets were or what was going on in the world, Brandon got up and walked his babies to school. So it's important for the world to know that my brother started that day, November 19th, by walking with his own two legs by himself with his children to school like he does every morning in the streets that some people wouldn't even dare to go visit, let alone we lived and we survived in our marginalized community, as they like to say it. And I think that's important because people need to understand what people carry on a daily basis and how we maneuver and navigate this world and society and some of the pressures we have to deal with that unfortunately others don't. But my brother dealt with them with grace, with style. So he started off his day by walking his babies to school, told them that he loved them and to have a wonderful day, like any other day. Never imagining that would be the last time he got to see his babies. Because I know my brother, he would have given them a whole speech. He would have left them with a list in their pocket of what to do and what not to do, some directions in the event of his absence. But he did none of that. That's how we know Brandon did not plan on that day going in the way that it did. However, he walked his babies to school. He went back home. He encountered some family and friends, spoke with some family members, spoke with the people within his household, and went about his day to take care of some business as normal. Brandon ended up at the stairs. He ended up back in our neighborhood where we grew up. The stairs was a place of comfort. Not only was it a place that was home, because we literally know those streets like the back of our hands. We grew up on those streets. Brandon was born on the same boulevard he ended up passing on. The hospital that he was born on was miles up the exact same street. So he went where he thought he could find comfort and refuge and safety from himself. From himself. My brother was overwhelmed with a lot of personal things that eventually we will talk about. But he was just overwhelmed with the pressures of life and as a single father and trying to stand up to a set of ideals and just the pressure of wanting to be the best father he could and not wanting to fall short on any of his children. And it was overwhelming for Brandon. It was just becoming too much that he felt he did not know how to navigate. The children are becoming teenagers, you know, making choices. And things were... Either way, my brother went to the stairs, sat at the church. My brother told a couple of family members that he loved them. My brother told me he was 98% good 1 hour before this happened, 45 minutes. The Holy Spirit put it in my heart to text my brother and simply ask, how are you? Simply ask, how are you? And he texted back and said 98%. So I said, good. My brother's been having a couple of rough days and kids. Boy, them kids will get you. Don't let them kids get you. Life happens to us all, brother. Come on now. I reminded him, you're a diamond. The more heat, the more pressure, you going to shine, brother. Come on, baby. You got it. But he was a man dealing with things from a different perspective. He was a black man in society. There was so many different jackets that he had to wear and pressures that I couldn't even understand now, looking back, now that we've been forced to unpack it all. However, Brandon sat there, and Brandon called 911. He called the police and said, I need help. I don't want to hurt myself. I need help. The police responded to my brother. Not once was my brother ever treated like a victim. Not once did they come up and say, hey, buddy, I heard you called. You needed some help. Or, hey there, guy, what's going on? Or, hey, bud, or, hey, excuse me, sir, what's going on? I heard you needed help or you called for help. Mm-hmm. Not at all. From the initial, as soon as they got on the scene and the initial interaction with my brother, it was, hey, what's going on? What do you have? What are you doing? What's going on over there? What's that? Like, he was treated as a suspect. We come from that pressure. We're treated as suspects when we walk into the store and our jackets are too big. My brother's been treated like a suspect his entire life before he was ever a suspect. Just as a young black man in society growing up in the marginalized community in which we did. He's having a mental health crisis. And you approach my brother as a little suspect you've always treated him as. He's looking for delicacy. He's fragile. He's looking for support. He's looking for somebody to understand him. And you came and initially treated my brother as a suspect. So they treated him as a suspect. Hey, what's going on? How are you? From there, I can tell you what the things that I tell and I share with you are personal accounts. I could probably talk to other people and whatnot and fill in some of my personal gaps, but I'm just going to share the story that I know with my heart happened. However long my brother sat on that porch, I got a phone call and said, hey, your brother is with the police on Atlantic and 52nd. And I said, I'm on my way. I was there within 9 minutes of receiving the phone call. I was on the scene within 20 minutes of my brother's, from the time he called until within 20 minutes of him calling, I was on the scene. A lot of people, family, friends, none of us had any idea what was going on. Most people didn't even know I was on the scene. I called my sister along while I was on my way. I said, hey, they said, Brandon's over here. Meet me over there. My sister and my niece met me over there. When we got to the scene, I ran with everything I had and just ran straight to my brother, just darted straight to my brother. I was met with a bunch of police who pushed me back and, hey, get back. I calmed down. I said, hey, that's my brother. Look at my face. I kept telling him, look at my face. We have the same face. Look at that's my brother. That's my brother right there. And they said, I understand, ma'am. Listen, your brother called us for help. I said, what? He said, yes, listen to us. Your brother called us and said that he's afraid he might hurt himself and he needs some help. And I looked in the man's camera. I didn't even look in his eyes. I looked in his video camera, the police cam, and said, please don't kill my brother. I've watched you all disarm, disengage, de-escalate. I've watched you do all the Ds without killing people. Please don't kill my brother. Whatever you do, my brother just needs a hospital. He needs help. They said, ma'am, we promise you that that's all we're here to do. We're not going to hurt him. We're not going to do anything. We have pepper spray, rubber bullets, dogs. They started going through just all these other non-lethal measures that they promised me they would take before it got to that point. I eventually moved from where I was standing. The officers kept telling me to leave. You need to leave. I was closest to my brother at this point, like literally feet away. We're looking eye to eye at one another. And I see my brother gets worried. And now my brother knows me. He knows I will run through all these people to get to him. My brother looks at me. And he looks at the cops and he looks at me and he kind of tells me, like, just go back, Tierra, because, you know, he didn't want me to get hurt. the officers begin to tell me, you need to go. You should be on the other side. One officer came and said, look, I don't think you should be over here by yourself. You know, I had my sister on the phone and my brother in front of me. My sister is on the other side of the police tape. And the officer tells me, you need to go be with family. I don't think you should be on this side by yourself. I think you should go over there with your family. For 90 seconds, no more, or 2 minutes, 120 seconds, I run, I jump in my car, I fly around the corner, and I get to the other side now where my family is. From this perspective, I'm directly across the street from my brother now. Directly across. Prior to, on the other side, I was kind of diagonal to him. He had to turn to his right to see me. Now I'm directly in front of him. I order my niece, my sister, at this point, cousins. You all would not imagine how many people and family and friends they murdered my brother in front of.
Oh, my God. When we come forward, we're talking with Sister Tierra Boyd. When we come forward, we're going to talk about the demands that the family has for justice in the name of Brandon Boyd. The family was there and witnessed Long Beach police steal the life of this black single father of 6 who'd called them for help. More with the family of Brandon Boyd and organizers from Black Lives Matter Los Angeles on the struggle for justice in the name of Brandon Boyd when we come forward.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Morgan Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. President-elect Trump's federal election interference case is being dismissed. Special counsel Jack Smith filed a motion to drop the felony charges connected with Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election, and a judge agreed. Thanksgiving travel is already underway, and AAA predicts around 80 million people will travel at least 50 miles from home between today and next Monday. Rainy and snowy weather is expected, so patience is recommended. Drake's legal team is suing Universal Music Group and Spotify over the popularity of Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. The Independent reports they're claiming the companies used bots and other methods to manipulate and saturate streaming services. And Queen Latifah is hosting the 47th Annual Kennedy Center Honors on December 8th. The event will air on CBS on December 22nd. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 in my garage after I overpaid for new blinds. I researched the industry, hired my mom, and 14 years later, we're one of the largest retailers of custom blinds in the U.S. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chargers could not handle a very efficient and physical Baltimore Ravens team last night at SoFi. Baltimore beat the Chargers 30-23. 212 yards rushing for the Ravens, who made 3 fourth-down conversions. Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh is now 0-3 against his brother John Harbaugh, the Ravens head coach. The Boston Celtics made 22 three-pointers last night to cruise to a 126-94 win over the Clippers in Boston. The Celtics snapped the Clippers' 5-game winning streak. The Lakers are back in action tonight in Phoenix. The Lakers have lost 2 straight. Tennessee State is the only HBCU school that earned a spot in the 2014 Division I AA football playoffs. Tennessee State, a co-champion in the Big South Ohio Valley Conference, has a first-round game at Montana State Saturday night at 7:15. ESPN2 will have live coverage. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? This can help you spend and save your money wisely. So, how does it work? Distribute your dollars into 3 buckets. 50% towards needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% goes to savings. Use this tool to help your journey to financial success. Sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
Did you know that streaming music, ebooks, audiobooks, movies, and more is available for free from the Los Angeles Public Library? With your library card, you can access the latest music and movies, audiobooks and ebooks, graphic novels, comic books, magazines, and more. If you don't have a library card and live in the city of Los Angeles, you can get a digital card online for free. Check it out at lapl.org/emedia. That's lapl.org/emedia.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
We are on with the sister of Brandon Boyd. Brandon Boyd is a black single father of 6 whose life was stolen by Long Beach police last week. Sister Tierra Boyd was in the midst of telling us what happened to her brother in front of her. She was standing just across the street, providing Brandon with the love and support that he needed in the midst of a mental health episode. Everybody gets weighed down by the things that are going on in the world. And as Sister Tierra said, it's not easy walking this world as a black single father of 6 children, even though he's loving and beautiful and loves music and is a jokester. You know, things can get heavy, and we have a right, and really we should ask for help when we need it. Unfortunately, what we learn over and over again, and as we hear Brandon's story, I'm reminded of Takar Smith. I'm reminded of J.R. Thomas. I'm reminded of there's another Brandon who called for help in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. I'm reminded of all of these black fathers who call for help, and the police remind us that they descend from slave catching, and they are absolutely not here to help anybody, but especially not our black men. Sister Tierra, I want to bring Sister Lamika Castillo into the conversation, but do you want to just share the last few moments of Brandon's life with us as we bring Lamika in, and what's happening and how we're moving forward?
Yes, and thank you. I want to sum that. Let me say that there is no summing up my brother's life. And that guy was too big. His spirit was too big. But to quickly, with due to the time constraints and time sensitivity, let me just say it was important that I acknowledge the community, because we are a village, and it is the community who has held us together. It was the community who knew my brother was in despair, who called me. It was the community who was at his side. And it was important to acknowledge that there were dozens of people who has known my brother his entire life, who stood on the streets of Atlantic and 52nd with me, watching the police. Every one of us trusted those police. My brother trusted them. The community trusted them. And I sat there for 2 hours and 23 minutes trusting them to never hurt my brother. Unfortunately, we sat there. My brother kept telling them, I'm scared. I'm scared you're going to shoot me. I don't want to hurt. He was talking to them. Never one time was Brandon hostile. That's important to just acknowledge. Brandon wasn't saying, hey, I want to die, forget everybody, the world sucks. None of that. I want the body cam footage. Show the world where my brother told you all what was happening with his daughter. Show the world where my brother told you all what was happening with his son. Show the world where my brother was telling you all what was happening to him and why he felt he was in a crisis and needed help. Not one time was Brandon belligerent, disrespectful. Not one time. He kept his hands where we could all see them at all times. Never did he tuck his hands. He kept his legs spread apart the entire time. To get to the unfortunate event of circumstances, Brandon didn't see it coming. None of us saw it coming. The neighborhood, the man came up in the 3 hours. I sat there almost with my brother. The words line of fire were never used. Someone came up to me and said, sister, move. I said, no, I've been here the entire time. I'm not going anywhere. He said, move. You're in the line of fire. Long story short, my brother was dead within 2 minutes of me arguing about the line of fire. While he argued with me about the line of fire, they created the line of fire. But the Holy Spirit told me don't turn my back on my brother. So while I was arguing with the officer, I was arguing with him from my right side. He was arguing with my ear because I never took my eyes off my brother. I watched my brother's hands as they put the flash grenade. Pop, pop, my brother put his... I watched my brother. I watched every movement. I watched my brother not suffer. They took my brother immediately. Immediately, my brother was gone. And our whole world at that moment, everything that was in me came out. Everything. Literally. On those streets right there with my brother. Every ounce of moisture in my body dropped as I watched my brother drop.
Oh, my God.
And then the police brutality began. They let my brother's body lie there for minutes. Minutes. I'm trained. I have CPR certifications. I tried to. I kept begging, please, you just shot him down. Go run. Go help him. I'll give my brother CPR. They said, we're trying to secure the scene. I said, secure the scene. You just secured the scene. You killed him. The entire community was screaming, you murderers. You just killed. There's not one person on the scene who was not describing the Long Beach Police Department as murderers. There was no person on the scene. Not one person who was using their naked eye, meaning their bare eyes, not looking through anything, looking through their own two eyes, God-given eyes, that would not tell you that the Long Beach Police Department murdered Brandon Boyd on the steps of his childhood church.
Wow.
My brother thought he was getting help. He went to the church. There was so many businesses around. It was 3:00 in the afternoon. Everything was open. If my brother wanted to be a nuisance, if he wanted to be a menace, if he wanted to self-destruct or hurt anyone else, he would have been anywhere but this church.
But he went to the church for support, for some kind of support. And Sister Tierra, one of the things that was done after Brandon's life was stolen is Sister Lamika Castillo was reached out to. She's a family friend, and Lamika Castillo is a longtime organizer with Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. Sister Lamika, can you talk about the call that you received and how you became involved in trying to support this family, really just in the immediate aftermath of the theft of this Black father of 6, and we're going to keep saying this, single Black father of 6, Brandon Boyd?
And, sorry, I'm a little shaken up just hearing from Tierra. Tierra, thank you so much for your strength, your courage, and being the voice for Brandon in this moment and forevermore. And thank you, Melina, for having us on today to talk about what happened and honoring Brandon and keeping his name alive, and also helping the family fight for justice, what you can get in terms of justice on this side of heaven. So I received a phone call at about 5:45 p.m. 5:53 p.m. last Tuesday evening. I was doing some shopping for my family, and a mutual friend of mine and one of Brandon's other sisters, Tiffany, called screaming. She was in tears, and she said, Lamika, they just killed Tiffany's brother. They just killed Tiffany's brother. And I was mouth on the floor, just completely shocked. I couldn't believe or understand. And I'm like, who killed? She said, the police. The police just killed Tiffany's brother. And so I told her, I said, let me try to see if I can get a hold of Tiffany. If I can't get a hold of Tiffany, I'm going to do my best to get over there. She told me that they were in Long Beach. She didn't know exactly where at the time, but she said it was in Long Beach. And so when I got off the phone, I called Tiffany. I couldn't get a hold of her, understandably. She was trying to figure things out. And so I called who I knew to call, which is Black Lives Matter. I actually called you, Melina. I called you and said, hey, my friend's brother, I was shaken up even at that time. My friend's brother was just murdered by Long Beach police. I don't have all the details. I just know that the family needs help right now. And so we immediately began to mobilize and get folks out there because we know, what Tiara said, right? The community was there to witness it, and we keep us safe. We always keep us safe. The cops were not there to keep Brandon safe. If they were, he would still be here with us right now. The community kept him safe. His family kept him safe, and BLM came out to support. It was during rush hour. So as I was making my way back home to my family so that I could drop some things off and get over to Long Beach to be with Brandon's family, I received another phone call that Brandon's sisters who were there, so that would be Tiara, one of her sisters, and another one of her sisters and their niece, had been brutalized by the police and were in handcuffs. And folks were trying to figure out what had happened and why they were being detained.
And in just a second, Sister Lamika, we want to come to that because after they stole Brandon Boyd's life, they then brutalized, arrested, and continued to traumatize two of Brandon's sisters, including Sister Tiara and his niece. And we'll talk about that in just a moment right here on First Things First, KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
They stand in the way of love and we will smoke them all with an intellect and a savoir-faire. No
and you're listening to First Things First. My name is Melina. Abdullah, of course, that's Prince singing about the end of sin, the end of evil in the world, right? All seven will die, right? He's talking about the 7 deadly sins. We're talking about how these terrible institutions, including Long Beach Police, steal the righteous, steal the lives, and stole the life of Black single father Brandon Boyd. We've been talking about what they did on November 19th, but also beyond stealing the life of this Black single father, they then brutalized and criminalized his family that was there mourning and advocating for him. Sister Lamika, do you want to just briefly, because I want to make sure we get to the calls to action, do you want to just briefly tell us what happened to the family? And Sister Tiara, you're welcome to join in, but I want to make sure that you don't share too much detail yourself, because we know that we're going to do everything we can to hold the Long Beach Police accountable for both Brandon's death as well as the brutalization that you suffered. So Lamika, I want to start with you.
Yeah, so my understanding from my conversations with the family is, as Tiara had mentioned about the flash, they called it a flashbang. It's a grenade. I want to be clear about that. These are weapons of war that they threw at this single father of 6 children who was sitting on the steps of his childhood church asking for help. They threw a flash grenade at him, and then all of a sudden, gunshots rang out. And as Tiara mentioned, Brandon was gone. And immediately after that, as the sisters and niece were screaming and saying, you shot him, you killed our brother, you killed our uncle, the police came and began to not just agitate them, literally physically assault them, throwing their bodies. One of the sisters actually has a fractured arm as a result. When she was in custody of Long Beach Police, they had to take her to a hospital because they broke her arm. These are women who were there witnessing this entire thing, watched their brother get murdered, and instead of providing any kind of love or support or condolences or anything after they had already killed their brother and their uncle, Long Beach Police went and criminalized them, brutalized them, arrested them, and had them sit there for hours watching their brother's and uncle's body slain on the ground on the steps of the church that they attended as children. This is how Long Beach Police treated the victims, the survivors of Brandon's family. Before then, they went and took them and booked them. They took them to jail, and they made them stay in jail overnight. One of the sisters, who's not on the call right now, and actually I want to give her a shout out because today is her birthday. So happy birthday to Desiree. I wanted to honor her in the fact that she's dealing with this a week after, on her birthday, a week after her brother's murder. But they wouldn't release her. They would not release her. And so we were fighting to try to get her released, and even just to get all of them released, because they should have never been arrested in the first place. And they absolutely should not have been brutalized. Bruises on their bodies, pain. They've all gone to the hospital to get treated for their wounds and the bruises that they received from the law enforcement officers that beat them up as a result of them just being there witnessing and trying to support their family member.
So I've never heard of anything like this. I've never heard, and Sister Lamika, you've been involved in Black Lives Matter almost since the beginning. I've never heard of the family being assaulted in the immediate aftermath, assaulted by the very police who stole the lives of their loved ones, assaulted and arrested in the immediate aftermath of the theft of that loved one's life. But that's what happened to the family of Brandon Boyd. I know Sister Tiara was and others were kept on the scene looking at their brother's, as you said, slain body. This is torturous. This is torturous.
It's funny you use the words torture, if I may, as you all are speaking. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what's worse, the physical or the mental. I need listeners to understand, after Brandon was killed in front of me, I was taken handcuffed. After my experience, and we will talk about that later, I was handcuffed and placed in the back of a Long Beach police car with my brother's dead, cold body feet away from me for 3 hours. I begged the police. I said, why are you torturing me? They put no sheet over my brother, no shield over my brother, nothing. His body lies bare. My mother saw her baby's dead body splattered across the news. And they let my sisters and I sit in the back of the police car on the scene, feet away from my brother, for 3 hours before they finally took us downtown to be arrested. And I kept saying, why are you torturing us? My brother's dead body is here. You act like we killed him. That's all I want the listeners to understand in perspective what was happening. After they killed him, we sat there for hours. And then we were taken to jail. Then that's another encounter.
And
I don't know what's worse.
It's sick when you say the arrest is almost a relief, right? Because at least you don't have to. But the arrest is additional trauma.
Me to jail, please take me. Why are you making me sit here and watch I said, my mom, my kids, my family.
Right.
So I can't get to anyone. But sorry, yes.
No, please,
please,
Sister Tiara.
The torture that they put our family through after they murdered our brother.
So
it's
we
mental,
are called.
It's physical. It's emotional. It's everything.
Right. And we need, as Sister Lamika offered, and as you offered, Sister Tiara, we need community to continue to stand with the family. Today, you're having a press conference. It's your first time publicly speaking to press. Today at 11 a.m., folks will be out. And I just want to give the address, and we invite everyone to come out. Folks will be out at Iglesia de Cristo at 11 a.m. today, and the press conference is at 5200 Atlantic Avenue in Long Beach. 5200 Atlantic Avenue in Long Beach. We're calling on everyone to stand in solidarity with the family of Brandon Boyd. Sister Lamika, is there anything you want to add just very briefly as we close out?
Yes, absolutely. I want to say that the family and support of, Black Lives Matter and support of the family has put out a list of demands to Long Beach Police and the mayor of Long Beach. And those demands include releasing that 911 call that led to the incident. Tiara said her brother called for help. The police are giving a different story. We want to know the truth, and we know what the truth is that Brandon called for help, and the police need to release that call immediately. Release the names of the 4 officers involved. There were not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 officers that shot Brandon. We want every single one of their names released immediately. Release the body cam footage of what happened. We know that the cops have all the evidence that we need, and we also have our own evidence. We have video footage from the family members and community members who were there, but the police need to release that body camera footage immediately. Drop all charges against the family. There were 3 family members arrested. There should have been no arrest. There should have been no assault of the family members, and there absolutely does not need to be any charges. Nobody needs to go to court. The family are victims, and they do not need to continue to be put through this torture with Long Beach PD holding this over their head. And the last one is to charge the officers who killed Brandon. They wrongfully took this man's life. He called for help. They murdered him in cold blood in front of his family and community and on the steps of the church where he went as a child. It's disgusting, and we are absolutely demanding that those officers be charged for what they've done.
And we will, from Black Lives Matter Grassroots, be sharing a GoFundMe link so that you can directly support the family of Brandon Boyd, which now has to figure out how to support his 6 children and how to bury this Black single father of 6. So we'll be posting that from BLM Grassroots, BLM LA, and BLM LBC. Again, the press conference is today, 11 a.m., 5200 Atlantic Avenue in Long Beach. We want to say thank you so much to Lamika Castillo, organizer with Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, and Sister Tiara Boyd. Thank you, and we love you. Our prayers are with you, and most importantly, our work is with you. And we say his name, Brandon Boyd. Let's say his name, Brandon Boyd.
Brandon Boyd.
Yes.
Brandon Boyd.
Brandon
Angel.
Boyd.
Brandon Boyd.
Yes. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Sister Dominique. We wish you traveling mercy. Thank you for joining me on First Things First. My name is Melina Abdullah. You can follow me on all social media at Doc Melly Mel. Peace out, y'all.
80 Santa Monica.
I'm Morgan Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. President-elect Trump's federal election interference case is being dismissed. Special counsel Jack Smith filed a motion to drop the felony charges connected with Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election, and a judge agreed. Thanksgiving travel is already underway, and AAA predicts around 80 million people will travel at least 50 miles from home between today and next Monday. Rainy and snowy weather is expected, so patience is recommended. Drake's legal team is suing Universal Music Group and Spotify over the popularity of Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. The Independent reports they're claiming the companies used bots and other methods to manipulate and saturate streaming services. And Queen Latifah is hosting the 47th Annual Kennedy Center Honors on December 8th. The event will air on CBS on December 22nd. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 in my garage after I overpaid for new blinds. I researched the industry, hired my mom, and 14 years later, we're one of the largest retail...
Who made 3 fourth-down conversions. Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh is now 0-3 against his brother John Harbaugh, the Ravens head coach. The Boston Celtics made 22 three-pointers last night to cruise to a 126-94 win over the Clippers in